President.
Senator Richard Gordon is recognized to sponsor the measure.
Thank you very much, Mr. Senate President. Your Excellency, Ambassador Han Dong-man, our dear colleagues, my fellow citizens, magandang hapon po sa inyong lahat. I have heard it said that an ambassador is someone who thinks twice before he says nothing. Well, I can say with complete conviction that South Korean Ambassador Han Dong-man never thought twice before he did everything that an ally and friend of the Philippines would do. He came here with every intention of strengthening the ties between our two countries. And he lives not only as a respected representative by whom his country has been judged so favorably, but also as a true friend to the Filipino people, a friend to the Philippine Senate, to the Philippine Red Cross, and I'm proud to say, my friend. From north to south, Mr. President, the generous humanitarian assistance and cooperation of our Korean brothers and friends has been felt in our country. From the ravaged areas of the north during Typhoon Ompong to the water crisis 2019 and Typhoon Ulysses response in Metro Manila, to the ash-covered communities after the eruption of Taal volcano, to the displaced Bicolanos when Mount Mayon erupted, and again when Typhoon Rolly hit to the Marawi Siege that left many wounded, and to the earthquake in Mindanao last year, the helping hand of Korea reached out and helped pull our people from their devastation. In the time that I've been in the Red Cross, Mr. President, I've never seen an ambassador from Korea do so much for suffering humanity, Mr. President. In every crisis, we have felt the compassion of Ambassador Han representing the Korean people, who has always been one of the first to contact me to ask how Korea may be of assistance. The Philippines is the fifth country to recognize the Republic of South Korea upon its inauguration on August 15, 1948. The Philippines sent a total of 7,420 soldiers during the Korean War to bolster South Korea's defense. The first group of Philippine soldiers arrived in Busan, South Korea on September 19, 1950. The Philippines was the first Asian nation and the third country in the world that sent ground troops to Korea following the United States and the United Kingdom. The Filipino soldiers operated alongside the United States 25th Infantry Division from October 1, 1950, and made great achievements in the Battle of Yultong in April 1951. All in all, 112 of our fellow Filipinos died, 288 were wounded, 16 went missing in action, and 41 became prisoners of war. That's why, Mr. President, this year, which marks the 70th anniversary of the Korean War, we're fortunate that we had a worthy ambassador in the person of Ambassador Han Dong-man, who has constantly maintained the historic ties as well as the friendship between our two countries. Mr. President, rarely, every time I see him, he will speak in Tagalog and say, "Kinagagalak ko kayong maging kaibigan," quote unquote, Mr. President. Mr. Ambassador Han Dong-man is married and has two sons. He received his bachelor's degree in mass communications at Yonsei University in Korea and his master's in international administration at the Panthéon-Sorbonne University in Paris, France. He has more than 30 years of experience in representing Korea in the areas of planning, policy, trade issues, and public relations. He has held positions to being appointed as ambassador in January 2018. Before that, he was Deputy Minister for Overseas Korean and Consular Affairs, Director General of the International Economic Affairs Bureau of the Korean Ministry of Foreign Affairs from 2011 to 2013. He was Director of the Security Policy Division at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Trade, and later as Consul at the Korean Consulate General in New York City, 2002. Within this period, in December 2012, he received the Order of Service Medal. He joined the Ministry of Foreign Affairs in 1985 and has held secretary posts in Algeria, the United Kingdom, and Australia, as well in the office of the President in Korea. Now, Mr. President, Ambassador Han Dong-man, during his term here, and through his leadership, was instrumental in the loan grant transfer of technology, joint development studies for DOTR projects under the government's Build infrastructure programs, which include the following: contract packages for the Malolos-Clark Railway Project, or MCRP, and Metro Rail Transit Line /7, MRT-7. The feasibility study of the Export-Import Bank of Korea, KEXIM, for the National Automated Fare Collection System project. He undertook the joint cooperative endeavor for the development of the Dumaguete International Airport. He was also very instrumental in the new Cebu International Port project funded by the Korean Exim Bank, Mr. President, and also the Cebu Bus Rapid Transit BRT project. He facilitated, very, very importantly, the signing of a $1 billion framework arrangement concerning loans from the Economic Development Cooperation Fund, EDCF, on 4 May 2018 to finance multiple infrastructure projects until May 2022. Mr. President, Ambassador Han Dong-man was very instrumental in facilitating and speeding up the development of the Halaur multipurpose dam in Iloilo, considered as the biggest, largest project in the history of Iloilo, and one of the largest ODA Korea, if not the largest ODA Korea, has ever granted for a single project, Mr. President. That alone speaks volumes. And this is expected to be completed in September 2022, and would certainly benefit some 25,000 farmer families in terms of livelihood and irrigate some 31,000 hectares of rice land in the province. Certainly, Iloilo will become a rice-producing province in its own right when this is finished. He pioneered the idea of a Koreatown in Maleta, Manila, and why not? He enhanced the arrival of many Korean tourism arrivals. It remains number one, and it does so because of the efforts of Ambassador Han Dong-man. So he's not only our business, economic, as well as tourism partner, and also, of course, our historical partner. I have to mention this as Philippine Red Cross Chairman, Mr. President. Korean Red Cross has donated not only Pasig warehouse of 1.5 hectares of development, Mr. President, in Pasig, Iloilo, to handle the whole island of Panay, Mr. President. During the Marawi siege, we received 5,031,990 pesos for those who have been devastated by the Marawi siege. We were able to distribute 10,000 pesos to many of the people who have been affected. Each family received 10,000 pesos during that time, Mr. President. And we still help the Marawi people until now. $300,000 was contributed by the Korean government to Ambassador Han Dong-man for Typhoon Ompong in September 2018. He also donated 5.46 million turnover of a brand new MAN water tanker. You saw it a while ago, January 25, 2020, which is used in the Manila water crisis in 2019, the Taal volcano eruption in January in 2020, the COVID-19 response in Metro Manila 2020, the Typhoon Rolly response, and it's still there, Mr. President, in Albay, Camarines Sur, Camarines Norte. The water tanker, the MAN water tanker, brand new in itself, was donated by the Korean government to Ambassador Han Dong-man. They also donated to Typhoon Ulysses, a very violent typhoon that hit Quezon City, Marikina, and certainly the areas in the north of Cagayan and Isabela, Mr. President. They also turned over a Toyota Hi-Ace ambulance in January 25, 2020. This is still deployed in Typhoon Rolly and PR, and has been one of our standby ambulances, but has now been permanently deployed in the Bicol region, particularly in the province of Albay. Mr. President, during the Mindanao earthquake, the ambassador and the Republic of South Korea through the ambassador sent the Red Cross 5,004,840 pesos in November 4, 2019. $200,000 was donated to Taal volcano eruption in February 5, 2020, and $200,000 again was donated to Typhoon Rolly through the Red Cross on 5 November 2020, Mr. President. And right now we're finishing a very brand new food truck that will be used to tide people over after a disaster by way of providing hot meals on wheels so that people who cannot cook because they've lost their homes would also now be able to do so by way of distribution of food to these areas. Mr. President, like I said, I know of no ambassador in the country present today that has been aggressively pushing the help and compassion to many of our people who have become very, very vulnerable during all these typhoons. Certainly, hallmark of his ambassadorship is certainly all the fund aid that we're getting for the government, Mr. President, which I already mentioned, and particularly in Halaur, which is the single largest ODA funding run by the government, to repeat myself. And so, Mr. President, it is with great pleasure and honor that I author this resolution, and I invite my fellow senators so to do as well, to approve it, to commend South Korean Ambassador Han Dong-man for his efforts in strengthening bilateral relations and cooperation between the Republic of the Philippines and the Republic of Korea. So presented, Mr. President, and I ask respectfully our colleagues for its approval. Thank you very much, Mr. President.